Well, so my secret is that I have slept with over 100 people. I lost count after it got to 100.
Shh. Welcome to the Secret Life Podcast. Tell me your secret. I'll tell you mine. Sometimes you have to go through the darkness to reach the light. That's what I did. After 12 years of recovery in sex and love addiction, I finally found my soulmate, myself. Please join me in my novel, Secret Life of a Hollywood Sex and Love Addict, a 4-time bestseller on Amazon. It's a brutal, honest, raw, gnarly ride, but hilarious at the same time. Check it out now on Amazon. Welcome to Secret Life Podcast. I'm Breanne Davis-Gant. Today I'm pulling back the curtains of all kinds of human secrets. We'll hear about what people are hiding from themselves or others. You know those deep, dark secrets we probably want to go to our grave with? Or those lighter, funnier secrets that are just plain embarrassing. Really? The how, what, when, where, and why of it all. Today, my guest is Brooke. Now, Brooke, I have a question for you. Dun, dun, dun. What is your secret?
Well, so my secret is that I have slept with, over 100 people. I lost count after it got to 100. So
now, when you say over 100 people, when did you start having sex? Can I ask you that?
Yeah. So I was 19 and I actually talked to a bunch of people online, and I flew out to California and met some of these people. And so one of them I was supposed to be dating, and then the other one was a friend. And so it was I hooked up with the friend first. And then
wait. You flew out. Wait, back up. Stop. First of all, 19 is not that young. I mean, I started really early, 13. So there's that for you. But you were talking online to these two different guys at the same time, right?
One was a guy and one was a girl.
Okay. One was a guy and one was a girl. So you flew out. Yeah, go ahead.
So this was 1999, and it was the internet was still, I don't want to say new.
No,
but
it was new.
Today,
yeah,
it was. And so just talking to people online was spooky to begin with. But then I never had any relationships in my life here, because I'm fat. And
what do you mean?
I've always been I'm just a big person.
Okay.
Overweight. And I'm in a small town. So a lot of the people don't have a lot of tolerance for that, I guess.
What do you mean? Wait, I want to actually talk about that for a second. What do you mean they don't have tolerance? For your body type that you were born with?
Yeah. So I was bullied pretty badly by the whole town, really.
Wow.
Kids, teachers, but also extended members of my family would say things constantly. So,
wow.
I was kind of just this huge loner growing up, and I don't know, I kind of still am a little bit, but
yeah.
So nobody was ever interested in me, and I was just always gross. So that's why I ended up talking
You
to
just
people.
said you were gross? Did you just say you were gross?
Well, okay. Yeah, because I still have some of these. I still think that way. So
yeah, but I have to say, that self-talk right there is not okay. I mean, I had the other day, I kept repeating in my head I was a loser. And it was that is so abusive. And for you to sit there and say you're gross is breaks my heart, just like when I was calling myself a loser.
Yeah, I'm working on it. I promise.
We all are. But I just had to
it's
stop
a lot better than it used to be, though,
Yeah. So you didn't date anybody in your hometown. People were really mean to you, which is horrible. And I want to go to that town and beat everybody up. But so you started relationships online, friendships online, and
yeah.
Okay. So that was easier.
Yeah. So, yeah, because, we had pictures and stuff, and people are more accepting in other places too, I think. So,
yeah,
it didn't matter what I thought, they still accepted me. So yeah, that's what I did. And it was like from 99 through, so I was 19 and through the time I was 29, it just exploded. I moved to Madison. And when I moved to Madison, away from my small town, everybody didn't care what I looked like. There were people who were like, "Oh, you're beautiful and amazing." And I couldn't, it was like a 180 shift. I couldn't believe it. So I just kind of I went crazy and I ate it all up,
So do you think because your self-esteem was so low when you got to this new place where you got accepted, you just went to the extreme of acting out sexually?
Yeah, I do because I guess I told myself I was having fun. Okay.
Right.
But I just started figuring out, really within the past few years, that I was abusing myself sexually as much as all these other people were.
Right.
Because, I was putting myself in these situations that are so I don't know how I survived.
Can you tell us a couple of them?
Well, I'm pretty sure there were a couple times where I was almost kidnapped because one time this guy drove me to at this off street and he parked behind a camper. And I think what happened is they videotaped, I don't know, I was blindfolded.
Oh no.
They videotaped what was going on, but I didn't hear anything. So I thought I was okay, and they asked to meet up a second time, but somebody I knew convinced me not to do that because, they might have, I actually think they probably would have taken me. Oh, and I laugh, but it's not funny. Okay.
Wait. I'm so you met up with it was more than one person that time. You said they.
It was one person in a truck, but when I think about it, and when I say they, I was talking to them on a messenger online. Okay. So that messenger, whoever it was, they pretended to be a secretary or something, and you have to go meet this person to interview to become an escort.
Oh,
okay.
Okay. So did you become an escort?
No.
Okay.
Because I talked to this whole situation to a friend of mine, and he's like, yeah, don't go back because they're trying to sex traffic you. And I'm like, okay, yeah. Because I come from this small little town where everything's fine. And he was from Atlanta. So he's like, no, you're dumb.
Right. Wow. I'm from Atlanta too, but I'm shocked right now because what I hear is you laughing,
I think it's probably easier. It's really serious because if I sit and really think about it, I get really freaked out and huge anxiety, I don't know, I really that could have gone really bad. And so when I talk about stuff to anybody, I usually laugh about it. I think it's just to relieve some of that anxiety. Yeah. I'm the one who tells jokes and, at everything. So I think that's how I deal with it.
Yeah. I would too. I would used to make jokes about the things I would do so I wouldn't feel that shame or that uncomfortability inside.
That's such a good point. I've never thought about that before.
Yeah. It's easier to laugh than to feel, right? It's easier to just blow it off or make it sound not as bad, but you literally almost kidnapped. That's terrifying. And did you act out sexually with that person in the truck while you were blindfolded?
Well, so they handed me this sheet and they're like, check off everything you're willing to do for this audition thing. And so I checked off everything. And one of them was to be blindfolded. And so they're like, oh, well, here, take this and put it on. And then you have to go blow this guy. And I'm like, okay. So, I don't know. I guess it's even at the time, I was putting myself down at the time because of my weight. Yeah. He's like, oh no, you're beautiful. And so even then it's kind of a shaming within a shaming, I think. I don't know.
Yeah, because I have to tell you, I mean, even for me, like I'm so hard on myself, and it's like we're all so hard on ourselves and we never talk about it. But people like every type of person in the world. Like there's not one type that is perfect or is like the ideal. We think there is, but there's not. So for you in this situation with this stranger to even be putting yourself down, you know, you had to be in a very difficult place.
Yeah.
So what was one of the other stories that was really scary?
Well, I'm having people come in from out of town and meeting them in hotels. There were a couple times where one time I drove to Chicago for like a party. And I use quotations when I say party. But it was like 50 plus people. And I don't know, 98% of them were dudes. So, yeah.
What happened at that party?
That was where the majority of my numbers came. I'll tell you that. Cause there were supposed to be I think there were 4 women when it initially started, but one of them backed out. So yeah, I don't even remember it. Cause I used to also, when these things were going on, I would start drinking and I would be drunk for most of it. So, but you know, even then I was still like having a good time. So.
Cause you were probably drunk. Right?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I remember like half or bits of it, but yeah, I mean, not like blackout drunk, but enough to be like woozy and stuff. I think just to probably get through whatever was going on. Yeah. But there'd be like, you know, 3, 4, or 5 people like right there doing stuff. So, you know, if you turn on like a porn, okay, it's kind of like that.
And do you watch a lot of porn?
I used to. Yeah, I don't really anymore. You know, the funny thing is like now when I watch, sometimes I'll be like into it for a minute and then I'll get like super weird and not repulsed, but kind of the same feeling. And like, God, I don't like this. And I like try to push it away. And like, but sex is good. So like, why wouldn't I like this? And I get all weird feeling. And it's,
do you think because you're triggered by past stuff and the porn like brings that up? So then it all comes to the surface.
Yeah. Yeah. Especially some of the other stuff, because I don't want to say other stuff. I should be more specific, right?
Well, we're talking about something very difficult and I understand you not wanting to be specific, but it helps if we are specific, but it's up to you.
The last 2 relationships that I had, I had posted ad online for the first one that I wanted somebody who was like a dom and BDSM. And he was like verbally and emotionally abusive. And then I went from that to like the next relationship. I posted the same thing online and he was a convicted rapist. And he did that to me. And then, so this is like the end of 2016. And that's kind of when like the shit hit the fan for me. And I started spiraling out of control. And like, I lived in Minnesota at that point. And I moved back home in with my dad because he's like, you know, if you need a safe place to go, come, you know?
Yeah.
But then I kind of like I'm in this depressive like slump since then, and I'm trying to like break out of it. So
yeah, here's what for me. I mean, when all that trauma was coming up and things I did to myself and things I did to other people, when that finally started coming up, it was almost unbearable, like an unbearable depression, an unbearable, like, I don't want to be on this planet anymore. Is that how you're feeling right now?
And, you know, I think I've been depressed almost my whole life just because of, you know, how I grew up and how family was to me and stuff.
Yeah.
And I didn't start like taking medication and stuff until it was 2013. But I can tell you, like, I've been through this cycle of like none of these medications work for me. And, therapy hasn't really worked for me, but I don't think I've ever gotten down to like the real point or issue that I need to with it, which is kind of one of the reasons why I say thank you for this podcast, because I think listening to everybody else's stories is making me realize that this is like my problem, and I need to go back to therapy and deal with it.
Well, it's my thing is like, we keep doing, it keeps amplifying and getting worse and worse until we decide to actually face it head on. And the moment you face it head on, you feel like you're dying, but really you're being reborn is how I look at it. So, the therapy is like a massage for my soul every time I go. The like 12-step program, especially with trauma, is like you get on a meeting with a bunch of other people that have been through similar things and they don't judge you and you don't feel so alone.
Yeah.
Well, here's my question for you. And I've been wanting to ask this. Have you ever been in love?
Yeah. At least I thought okay. Let me rephrase that. Before I moved back to Wisconsin, okay, so before 2017, I thought I had been in love like so many times. And honestly, I have so much love for everybody. Mm-hmm. I just give it away freely. I always tell people I have the emotions of like, if you put the whole world together and stuck them in me, that would equal the amount of emotions that I have for everybody else.
So you're like very sensitive. Are you in love with falling in love?
Oh yeah. So let me say something so I met my now husband in the beginning of 2017. Mm-hmm. And prior to him, I was just going through people like, it was just a daily breakfast or something.
Yeah. Just a meal, just your breakfast, your snack, your lunch, another snack. Yeah.
But then, then when I met him, I didn't really feel like I needed to do that anymore. Mm-hmm. And like, I look at him, like I keep looking at him over time and he like still like turns me on and makes me interested. Mm-hmm. Or like other people that went away right after it was over, Yeah. So I know that I am now, and it's different than, what I thought it was in the beginning. So that's nice to have, to finally found that,
So when did you get married?
Well, we got married pretty quickly. It was June of 18. So we had met in April of 17.
How did you guys meet?
So I was in a bar with a friend of mine and I was talking about FetLife and he's like, I know what that is.
What is that? I don't know what that is.
Oh, it's a website for kinks, basically. Ooh. Like any kind you have. Well, so it's kind of like, it's kind of like Reddit, but for like freaky people. So, because you can search for like discussion boards or, people to talk to and you can message them through it. You can put up pictures or videos, or I've got this whole profile that describes me exactly. Mm-hmm. But like not a lot of people know what it is.
Yeah. I've never heard of it. Just
come out of he's actually the only one I've talked to out loud that knows what it was. So then we just kind of had a conversation and I realized that he was like interested in me and not just like hooking up, with me. And I put myself down a lot, as you heard earlier.
Yeah.
And every time I do, he's like, shut up, stop it. You're great. I love you. So it's good.
So, and you're still together now?
Yeah. But I was going to tell you, when you asked if I was addicted to love, mm-hmm. I realized and I told him at some point that I was addicted to that feeling that you get when you first meet that person.
Oh, it's my favorite feeling in the whole world.
Right before you do it.
Yeah. It's like the whole buildup, the whole intrigue and flirting. Mm-hmm. And that is like my favorite feeling in the whole world.
I know. And it's devastating because it doesn't last very long.
No, It's like fleeting. It's like air. It's not there. It's not real.
Yeah.
So you told him that. How did that conversation go?
He I don't know. I think it freaked him out for a bit because I think he was worried I was going to go off and do something with somebody else. But I honestly have never felt that interest to do that since being with him.
Yeah.
So I was just kind of like, that's not going to happen. I mean, I can't convince anybody any better than that because you just have to kind of wait and see. Right. But
I think what really helped though is voicing it. I think that is the communication in a relationship when you voice those things that we usually keep hidden. Like I would have never told my husband, like I'm in love with falling in love, before doing the work on myself. And now that it's out in the open, it kind of takes that power away of that.
Yeah.
We internalize it and think about it and, go into fantasy or whatever.
Yeah.
Do you think that helped talking to him about it?
Yeah. Well, I don't really have that great of a filter. And I talk about my thoughts all the time. Like I pretty much say my thought as it comes out of my head. Right. And then I'll be like, I shouldn't have said that. Right. Anybody that knows me, they're going to be like, yeah, I've heard way more about her sex life than I ever wanted to, especially and the funny thing is I don't like it when other people do that. So I don't know. I don't know, but I pretty much talk about things all the time. Mm-hmm. And so as I do that, I figure these things out. If I didn't do this stuff, I would not be at the place I am right now. I'd be back in 2016 Brooke, where, it's horrible and I don't know what's going to happen, So I'm kind of my own therapist in a little bit. I don't know.
Well, sometimes I feel like for me, when I overshare, sometimes I just want to get it out of me and onto somebody else. But the problem with that is then I'm not keeping those feelings inside and actually feeling them and walking through them.
Yeah, that's a good point. Because you don't have to deal with it.
Yeah, you don't have to deal with that. And it's almost like you're making it a story or making it and giving it to somebody else. So it doesn't own you. But the problem is then we don't feel those feelings of, calling yourself gross or things like that.
Right.
But here's my question for you. So you're married. Are you living with your husband right now?
Yes. Yeah, we've pretty much been together since the day we met.
But are you still feeling like you're in that depressive place, even though you're married? And do you think it's because all that acting out is done and you haven't dealt with it?
Yeah. I have depression, or I don't know if the depression I don't know what it's from exactly, but I think that my actions here that we've been talking about have definitely fueled it. And there was a lot of heavy stuff that went on since we met. My mom died a couple years ago, and that kind of pushed me down further.
Yeah.
And just having to move back here depressed me because I had a really good job before I came back here, and I missed, but I also missed quote, having the fun a little bit in the beginning, but that feeling's gone away. Now I'm just trying to deal with, the other stuff and how I grew up and, what I did to myself but yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I've been in bed for 3 years straight, pretty much.
Wow.
Because I get up and go to work. I'm not working right now, but when I was, I'd get up and go to work and I'd come home and I'd go lay in bed because my bed's the only place I feel safe,
safe, yeah.
Others,
yeah.
Which is up if you think about that's where I spent most of my time doing this other shit, so.
Well, because I believe that a relationship, even if it's a good one with your husband and with my husband, that's never going to fix me.
Right.
Nobody else is ever going to fix me until I fix myself. And what I hear is you're going through kind of a withdrawal a little bit. Once you take away the acting out, even if it's been a couple years or longer, once you take that away, you're stuck with why you acted out and did those things.
Yeah, you're right.
You're like, yeah, great. Thanks, Brianne. That's great.
No, no, I'm just thinking, yeah.
So I'm just wondering if you're like going through a type of withdrawal. Did you ever think maybe that you're a sex and love addict?
Well, now that I've listened to your podcast so much, I know that I was, but addiction runs in my family, like my mom's side of the family. Most of them were alcoholics.
Yeah. Mine too. Every generation, it turns into something else sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah. And on my dad's side, there's a little bit of like control and shaming on that side, so, and I think like some of my family members on that side were addicted to that. So yeah, I think that I got, this was my addiction was to like try to make myself feel better in any way that I could, whether it be, I don't sit and like eat, massive amounts of food at a time, but I'm not putting good stuff into my body ever.
Yeah.
So, there's that, and there's the sex thing, and, even just like super negative all the time. You get addicted to feeling depressed too,
Yeah. And I mean, you can get addicted to worry. You can get addicted to like depression, feeling like a victim. You can get addicted to all of that. It's like a whack-a-mole. You take away the sex, you move to the food or the shopping or the self-loathing, or it literally goes where to the next thing.
Every time I found a new person and they liked me, then I was like, hey, maybe I'm not so bad. I could, and this is me being sarcastic. Okay. I'm not trying to put myself down right now, but, like they really, like, they don't care that I'm overweight and they're going to be with me still. So I just wanted more of that.
Yeah. It just doesn't, it sounds like it just doesn't fit who you are becoming. It was who you used to be.
Yeah, I agree.
So who do you think these kind of they were like a secret when you did them and then you would go tell people, but who do you think it harmed and who do you think it benefited?
Well, it definitely benefited all the people I hooked up with. That's for sure. In kind of a sick way, it benefited me a little bit just because it eventually helped me realize that I could, how I actually felt, and that I needed to kind of reverse that because it's not good feeling. So
yeah, I think it probably got you out of, I always think like the acting out from the past gets us out of where we were. Like it was so bad, we had to disconnect from ourselves and do those things so we could survive at that time.
Yeah, I totally agree. So it's kind of like a little silver lining, a little bit, because you were able to survive, but then you also came out of it with that knowledge and a little stronger, right?
Yeah. There was this quote one time that really helped that is talking about what we're talking about. Religious people are afraid of going to hell, but addicts have already been to hell, so they don't fear it. That's what it sounds like. Like we go to hell and the only way now is back.
Yeah, that's so true. It's not a joke.
Yeah. But here's my last question for you. I know you're trying to move forward, maybe going back to therapy. Do you feel like you want to be a part of SLAW or, are you interested in?
I actually, when you had all those links or whatever, and you sent them, that was great. I am going to look into it. I haven't yet. Okay. But I will. And I'm going to join those meetings because, hearing other people talk about their stuff helps you figure out your stuff a little bit.
Oh my God. It's a lifesaver. And listen, just if you're listening out there, I never recommend a 12-step program to anybody. Like my show is not about, hey, come join the program with me. But I honestly, when I'm talking to you, it's just like hitting me over the head. Like you need to be a member. Like this is the best group in the world. And it's healed for me, all these broken parts. And I've seen other people very similar to your situation heal themselves.
Well, good.
So I just feel like you need to get online after we get off. You need to fill out those, there's 40 questions if you're listening that you can, it's a self-diagnosis. It's 40 questions and you see how many you answer yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Because because there's no way to go through this by yourself. If you could, would have already done it.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, we need the tools. We're sex and love addicts. Like, we need those tools.
Yeah. Yeah. It's definitely, and it took me just like way too long to figure out that you can't. I thought you could do it by yourself, but it's I just don't think it's possible. So
no, because if you could, you would.
That. Yeah. Right.
No. Well, I am so grateful for your share, honestly, and reaching out to me. And I'm going to actually send you the link. I'll even have the link attached to this episode if you want to fill it out if you're listening. But it has saved my life from myself. Like, I have to tell you.
That's awesome. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much. And if you want to be on the show, please email me at secretlifepodcast@icloud.com. Until next time. Thanks again for listening to the show. Please subscribe, rate, share, or send me a note at secretlifepodcast.com. And if you like to check out my book, head over to secretlifenovel.com or Amazon to pick up a copy for yourself or someone you love. Thanks again. See you soon.